Have you ever prayed and felt nothing? No sign, no voice, no answer, just silence. You asked God for help, for healing, for direction. And instead of things getting better, they got heavier, darker, more confusing, and somewhere deep inside, a question started whispering, God, are you even there? Today, we're going to explore something raw, something real, something many believers are afraid to admit. What do you do when you don't feel God? And more importantly, why does God sometimes stay silent? Let's go into Scripture, because this is not new. When everything falls apart. There was a man named Job, faithful, righteous, blameless, and yet everything in his life collapsed. His wealth gone, his children gone, his health destroyed. And in the middle of his suffering, God said nothing. Job 30:20. I cry out to you, God, but you do not answer. I stand up, but you merely look at me. Can you feel that? I cry, but you don't answer. That's not weakness, that's honesty. Here's the truth most people miss. God was silent, but he was not absent. Behind the scenes, something bigger was happening. A spiritual conversation, a test, a purpose beyond Job's understanding. Sometimes God's silence is not rejection, it's divine trust. Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right, but life keeps hitting you? You're praying, but nothing changes. What if God is not ignoring you? He's developing something in you. Have you ever felt like Job, like God was silent in your pain? Drop your experience in the comments. Let's talk about it. Now let's talk about a moment that shocks many people. Jesus had a friend named Lazarus. Lazarus was dying, and his sisters sent a message, Lord, the one you love is sick. John 11:6. So when he heard that Lazarus was sick, he stayed where he was 2 more days. Wait, what he stayed? He didn't rush. He didn't respond immediately. By the time Jesus arrived, Lazarus was dead, and Martha said something many of us feel. John 11:21. Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Translation, God, you're late. But then Jesus said something that changes everything. John 11:25, I am the resurrection and the life. And then he called Lazarus out of the grave. God's delay is not denial. Sometimes he waits, so the miracle becomes undeniable. That job you didn't get, that relationship that ended, that opportunity that died, what if it's not the end? What if God is preparing something greater? Have you ever felt like God showed up late in your life? Looking back, did it make sense? Tell me in the comments. David, a man after God's own heart, yet he wrote some of the most painful words in Scripture. Psalm 13:1. How long, Lord? Will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long? That's not doubt. That's desperation. But something incredible happens in the same chapter. Psalm 13:5. But I trust in your unfailing love. Wait, what changed? Nothing externally, but internally David made a decision. Faith is not about what you feel. It's about what you choose to believe even when feelings disappear. Let's be real. Some days you don't feel God, you don't feel spiritual, you don't feel strong. But faith says, I will trust him anyway. Be honest, do you rely more on feelings or faith? Type faith or feelings in the comments. Now, the deepest moment of silence in history. Jesus on the cross, bleeding, suffering, alone, and then he cried out. Matthew 27:46, my God, why have you forsaken me? Even Jesus felt abandoned. Let that sink in. Feeling distant from God does not mean you are distant from God. Because in that moment of silence, God was doing his greatest work. Salvation, redemption, grace for all humanity. What if the season where you feel God the least is the season he's working the most? Have you ever gone through a season where God felt completely silent? How did you come out of it? Here's the truth. God is not a feeling, he is faithful. 2 Corinthians 5:7. For we live by faith, not by sight. Not by feelings, not by emotions, by faith. So if you're in a silent season right now, Don't quit, don't walk away, don't lose hope, because silence is not absence, delay is not denial, and feelings are not facts. Trust God even when you don't feel Him, especially when you don't feel Him, because that is where real faith begins. If this message touched you like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, send this to someone who needs encouragement. And don't forget to subscribe, because in the next teaching, we're diving deeper into trust God when you cannot feel Him, how to stay strong in silent seasons.